There's a bunch of other stuff here, control room buttons, et cetera, which are designed more for recording. We don't use a lot of this. You do have to watch out that your PFL, AFL switch stays down, because if you lift that, then what you're hearing here is after the faders as opposed to before it. It's marked blue, it should be down. And the main mix button is down, because when you let off of these, what you hear in the headphones with nothing pushed down is the main mix going out of the house. And then once in a while, the solo knob gets turned down, which means you won't hear anything at all in the headphones. So that was the cue, or the PFL for the monitors. That's for monitor 2, which we don't use. And then there's some other effects returns which we don't use, that type of thing, which are the other knobs here.
So there's no sound effects like reverb or anything else here on the board. It's a very basic board.
We have nothing as far as effects send. It would be nice to get either an effects unit or a board with an effects unit in. I just bought one. I just bought a 12 channel for one of the parks that has a built-in effects send. It wasn't real expensive, but it has a quality Lexicon effects unit, just to give a little bit of sweetness to the vocals, because when you sing vocally with no reverb on a room, that if you've got it set up right so you don't get a lot of slap back and reverb from the room, you want to give it a little life, a little sweetness, you can add a little digital reverb to it, which would be a nice thing for us to do. Then when people are speaking, you kill the reverb, and it otherwise that reverb doesn't sound natural when you're speaking. It sounds beautiful when you're singing, but okay.
Those subgroups on the far right-hand corner there,
Yes.
They should always be towards the middle. And if you want to take things out, you lower it. And if you want to add things to it, you raise it.
Yes,
And then the master volume is on the far right, right?
Exactly. Master volume here. Subgroups are here. We don't send, and haven't for years, haven't sent. They are sent through the subgroups, but we don't, by design, send these through the subgroups. Again, you could, by pushing specific buttons and then panning left or right, you could adjust, let's say we take your wireless and put it on subgroup 1, we take vocals, put it on subgroup 2, we take stringed instruments, put them on subgroup 3, and keyboard, put it on subgroup 4. That way, while you're not speaking, you could potentially do that. We don't, because there are other factors. When you flip the switch on your wireless, it doesn't give you a transient, so you get away with hitting the power on and off on your wireless. A lot of wireless mics don't, or didn't in the past, have that capability, so you didn't want the pastor going boom, boom with his switch. You wanted to mute him here. It requires more concentration from the guy that's back here mixing, and when we have one guy, he's got to concentrate on the computer too. That's why it works well for him to leave this open and you flip the switch on and off. You get away with it with a switch, etc. But it requires a lot more concentration. Again, we don't have this set up this way, but
is it even necessary to set it up that way, and how complicated is it?
not really. Not really. I'd have to go through and retune the unity gain on the system, and because if I brought these up to 0 where they're supposed to be, all of a sudden we'd be way too loud. We'd have to adjust everything else back and down and so forth. So that's why I haven't gone through the process of resetting it up. You're basically rebuilding all your settings from the ground up when you do that.
That'd be worth doing at some point in time.
Yes, definitely. And it's just going to give you, it's probably not going to be noticeable to any human naked ear basically, but it gives you a little bit cleaner, more refined quality signal. because you're not adding here to make up for what's subtracted here and here. In fact, if I point out the fact that your wireless, left and right is pushed down, and all the pans are straight up and down, which means we're sending every microphone to at least 2 of the subgroups, if not straight to the master, left and right. So it's a little bit misleading at this point. Anyway, doesn't hurt us, but to set it up correctly and use the subgroups, we would then have to pan these one way or the other, decide which subgroup it was going to go to, and then send it out. I think that pretty much does it for the mixer.